Hi! Now you're probably wondering, where have you been for a month? And that is a good question. I don't have an answer for you. However, I do have an answer for the fact that I'm going to be back for a little bit. Mainly because I've been streaming on Twitch, and I forgot to fucking mention, hey, that I'm going to be streaming on Twitch. I forgot that was a thing I was going to mention, and I've done a few streams already. I'm stupid, but hey, there is a link to my Twitch in the description if you want to go there. However, that's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the job changes, because we just got a bunch of job changes in patch 7.1, or rather, the notes just released like a few hours ago as of this recording, and oh my god, have they done some crazy shit. There is some spicy stuff in these patch notes, and I want to talk about it. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to go over every single job, not talking about PvP, because PvE makes me want to fucking unalive myself, and we're just going to talk about PvE, and how I feel about each of these changes, and how they're potentially going to change how the job functions. So, let's take a look. So we're going to go in order, and we're going to start with Paladin. Now, Paladin is in a very solid spot already. Its damage is really good. It has arguably the best mid tools out of all the tanks. It just really needed some quality of life in a few areas, if anything. And that's what this path is doing. First, cover has longer range. So, it's instead 20 ohms as opposed to 10. This is one of the biggest problems with cover, that and the fact that its use cases are very few and far between to begin with, but it's also hard to use because the range was so short. But this fixes that issue, so you don't have to be right next to whoever you're covering to be able to give them the effect. It's very nice, and will make cover a lot more useful in recovery situations. Next is Intervene. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I just want Intervene removed from the game. I want them to get the Gunbreaker and Dark Knight treatment and just remove this button from the game and give me a non-damaging alternative. Please, for the love of fucking God, I want that. However, in the interim, before Square comes to their senses on that front, it is now attained at a lower level. So Intervene is now usable at level 66, which means that Intervene is now usable in level 70 ultimates. Fucking finally. This gives them a little bit of extra damage and mobility in those fights, which is very nice. And finally, Hollowed Ground. Hollowed Ground has always been the worst tank invulnerability skill, because not only does it have such a long cooldown, but it also had a problem where the effect of the invuln was not applied immediately on pressing the button. This is a thing that all the invulns had, but Paladin's was the worst, by far, and led to multiple situations where you'd press the button, it would go off, and you'd still die. It was dumb, and now, if they're saying that the effects are being applied earlier, that means that it's probably going to be like so quickly, which does kind of fuck with tank invuln timings, but that's something that people can get used to. It's not a big deal. It just means that the button is more responsive, and that was one of its biggest faults, and that is fixed. Probably. Thank God. Moving on to Warrior, Holmgang got the same treatment as Hollowed Ground. We're going to be seeing this across the entire tank section, by the way, so yeah, get ready for that. But Chaotic Cyclone now has earlier hit detection, which is nice because it always felt weird that Chaotic Cyclone took that long to register damage. It just felt weird to me. But hey, it's fixed now. They should also do this to Decimate, by the way, because Decimate has the same problem. Please, for the love of God. Now moving on to Dark Knight. Oh boy, here we go. Dark Knight has been a focus of discussion since Dawntrail launched, and yeah, it kind of deserved it, because even though the tank's damage is through the fucking roof and had the highest amount of damage of the tanks by a lot, it still had issues in terms of actual play and usefulness of its tools and stuff like that. So, what is Square's response? Let's fix some of those problems. First, Dark Mind. Now also reduces physical damage by 10%. Yes! This is a phenomenal change, because we have run into more fights nowadays with physical tank busters, which means that if that happens, Dark Mind can just be thrown in the trash. This also means I'm probably going to have to update my Dark Knight guide, motherfucker. But this means that while Dark Mind is effectively just Oblation for physical damage, it still means that you have another button to use for tank buster, so Dark Knight is better now for physical, but it still has the 20% magical, which is great. Living Dead also had its effect applied earlier. Abyssal Drain having its cure potency increased by a lot. Now, one criticism I had with Dark Knight in dungeons is the fact that Abyssal Drain's heal was bad at higher levels. Like, it would sometimes struggle to heal me for half my health in a gigantic group of enemies. But that's being fixed, which is great. It means that Abyssal Drain is a lot better in dungeons, which is like supposed to be its main use, and it's awkward. Carve and Spit also now gives you health, which is something that people have been wanting for a long time, and we're finally getting that. Gives Dark Knight that little bit of extra heal, and 500 potency is nothing to scoff at. Like, to give you reference, Holy Spirit on Paladin is 400, so that's a little bit more than a Holy Spirit, which is pretty nice. Blood Spiller got its potency increased, and then same thing with Scarlet Delirium, Comeuppance, and Torque Lever. They all got 20 potency each, which was absolutely not necessary at all. Like, they did not need this at all. Like, Dark Knight's damage was already the highest. Like, sure, it gives them extra damage in their 1 minute burst, I guess, but the 1 minute burst is still, like, so empty, because you just have, like, 2 or 3 edges, Carve and Spit, and that's it. I don't get it. But here's the big one. The big thing. The big thing that Dark Knight has needed forever. Dark Missionary. Now also reduces physical damage by 5%, so it got a similar treatment to Dark Mind, but it's now acquired at level 66. Sound familiar? Yeah, Dark Missionary can now, at long last, be used in level 70 ultimates, which is something that we've been needing since Shadowbringers, when the skill was introduced. Because not only was Dark Knight's damage just bad at level 70, it also was just worse because you were missing an entire raid-wide mitt. Like, Warrior had Shake, Gunbreaker had Heart of Light, Paladin had Divine Veil and Passage of Arms, and Dark Knight had nothing. So now, Dark Knight is actually usable in level 70 ultimates, which is phenomenal. You now no longer have to feel like you're throwing the game when you're bringing Dark Knight. And on top of that, also emitting physical damage is really good as well, because it means that the button isn't completely useless. That is one thing that Dark Knight did need, was making sure that Dark Missionary and Dark Mind were not useless. They made this exact same change to Feint and Addle for a reason in Endwalker, so seeing that reflected here is very nice. So Dark Knight, it's pretty good. But the real star of the show for me is Gunbreaker. Oh my god, what did they do? So, let's start small. Aurora's heal potency is increased to 300. That's nice. It means that you're now recovering 1,800 potency over time. Not a big deal. Super Bolide is where things start getting crazy. Now it no longer reduces your health to 1, but instead reduces your HP to half of your maximum. I'm curious. It makes me wonder if you're able to use this at lower HP and then it puts you back to 50, or if you're below 50, then you just don't get the reduction at all. I'm curious, but this also means that you don't have to worry about the Gunbreaker as much once they use it. So, yeah, that's something. It means that the meme is dead. Fuck. Damn. Also, Hypervelocity got a potency nerf, which is interesting, but there's a reason for that, and that comes in the form of Double Down. Double Down's cartridge cost has been reduced to 1. Thank fucking God. Now that I'm not talking about the job in a guide, I'm gonna say it. Double Down ruined Gunbreaker for me. Third cartridge and Double Down just made the job feel significantly more strict, and if there's one role that I personally don't think should be strict in its rotation like this, it's tanks. There's a reason why the other 3 aren't that strict in their damage, and yet Gunbreaker wasn't that until Endwalker, and it just felt like ass to play ever since. I didn't like it. And Dawntrail's changes did not fix that. But now it's been fixed. This does so much for Gunbreaker, it's insane. First, it means that you have even more usage of, what's the skill called? Burst Strike. Even more usage of Burst Strike than normal, which is why they nerfed Hypervelocity but not Burst Strike for some reason. That's interesting. But it also means that you don't have to enter a No Mercy window with 3 cartridges now. You only need 2, because the only skills you need in that window that cost cartridges are Gnashing Fang and Double Down. This meant that you had to enter with 3 cartridges because that was 1 for Gnashing Fang and 2 for Double Down. However, now that's instead 1 for Gnashing Fang, 1 for Double Down. This does make me wonder how you're going to be entering bursts now, like if entering with only 2 cartridges is going to be optimal, because you're still going to struggle to fit everything if you have 3 cartridges, because you have to do Gnashing Fang, Double Down, Sonic Break, and Lionheart. So we'll have to see what happens. But this also means that if you're forced to do downtime and you only have 2 cartridges going into a No Mercy window, this means that you aren't punished for that as hard, because you still get everything you need off. You still get your full Gnashing Fang, you still get Sonic Break, and you still get Double Down. So you still get everything that you need in a No Mercy window, which just fixes so many issues with Gunbreaker. It's insane. And I might actually play the job a lot more, because I used to be a Gunbreaker main. I dropped it after a while because it just felt bad, but now I might pick it back up again for serious play. We'll see. But really exciting stuff. I am so much of a fan. I love it. Now moving outside of my realm of expertise and going into other jobs, let's start with Dragoon. Dragoon's changes are interesting. So they had 2 goals with this. First, you get more damage if you have to leave the boss, because Elusive Jump now gives a new buff called Enhanced Piercing Talon, which increases Piercing Talon's potency to 350, and also Lance Mastery, one of its traits, increases its potency to 200, so it has more use as a range tool. Like, I don't think people are going to be using it as much anyway, because if you're using Piercing Talon, something's going wrong, but it just means that you don't lose as much damage when you have to leave the boss. And the second thing was Dragoon's burst looked like this, and was an absolute war crime, because it meant double weaves all day. It was even worse than Dark Knight and Endwalker. It was disgusting. So they decided that they were going to remove a stack of Nastron. In fact, they removed 2 stacks of Nastron. It used to give you, Gearskogel used to give you 3 buffs of Nastron ready. Now you only get 1, and you only get 1 use of Nastron. However, to compensate for this, they doubled the potency of Nastron, and then they increased the potency of Mirage Dive, Star Diver, and Star Cross. And also, Star Cross now has range. Like, it's no longer 3 Yalm range, it's now 20 Yalm range, which, thank God, that honestly felt like an oversight. So this means that you don't have as many double weaves, because that's 2 off globals removed. You still have a ton, because you still have, like, your damage buffs, you still have your jumps, you still have Mirage Dive, Rise of the Dragon, Star Diver, Starcross, all that. But you guys have a bit more room to throw stuff in now, which is nice. Now we have Ninja. Oh my god, what did they do? What the fuck? Okay, so Throwing Dagger had its potency increased after Melee Mastery 2. Okay, no big deal. Dream Within a Dream also got its potency buffed to 180 per hit, so that's a total of, I think, 540? Because Dream Within a Dream is 3. Bump my microphone. Dream Within a Dream was 3 hits of the same potency, so that's 540, yeah. Doku Mori is where things get interesting, because I'm surprised that this wasn't the case already, because it felt like it, but now it's the case of Doku Mori is an AoE attack. Now, if you've seen the animation, it's like your character spits out poison, which made it look like it was an AoE attack, but it wasn't. Now, here's the interesting thing. This means that not only does Ninja have AoE Trick, they have AoE Mug. Oh no. That is honestly a war crime. Because AoE Trick was already crazy. Well, not super crazy, but it was nice for dungeons. But having AoE Mug is insanity for certain fights. For example, the Epic of Alexander. Getting that off in BJCC means that it doesn't matter what target you pick for Doku Mori. You're getting Mug on both targets. That's insanity. You could also potentially do this in, like, Dragon Song's Reprise. Because if you, like, stand in front of one dragon, aim at the other, use Doku Mori, that should hit both of them, and then boom, you have Mug on 2 targets. That's insanity. So time will tell to see if this really is as big of a change as we think it is, but I think this is crazy. And then we're not done yet, by the way. You can now move while under Tenchi Jin. I don't know how to feel about that. It really depends on the level of ninja player you are. If you're someone who plays the job more casually, you hate TCJ, most likely. Because the fact that you have to sit still for so long is very clunky for newer players. But for experienced players, they loved to optimize Tenchi Jin because you had to use it at specific moments that you were able to sit still and use your 3 ninjutsus. So there was a little bit of skill expression. Well, I guess skill expression is the right term. I'm not entirely sure. It's a weird one. It's better for casual players for sure, but for experienced players, I'm not sure how that's going to work or how they're going to feel about it. I guess time will tell. I don't know. And then also Tenri Jindo now has its hit detection earlier, which I actually didn't notice because I don't have Ninja at 100 yet. But hey, having damage earlier is nice. Now please do that on Drake's Bane, please. Anyway, now moving on to Samurai. Samurai, it's interesting. So, Samurai got a couple things. First, Hisatsu Gyoten, which is their gap closer, has its recast reduced from 10 seconds to 5. This is nice because it's kind of annoying that this has a cast time at all, or rather this has a cooldown at all, because it's your gap closer. Why does it have a cooldown like this when it already costs meter? But having it 5 seconds means that Samurai is a bit more mobile in positions where it needs to be mobile, so that's nice. Gyofu, the first hit of their combo, had its increased potency, because this skill had a potency nerf back in 7.05 when they reworked some of the potencies to make guaranteed Bidari follow-ups work. So they brought that potency up. And also Zanshin. Zanshin, which is the button you get after Iki Shoten, I think it's what it's called? Yeah, Iki Shoten. That big, like, conal AoE off global now has its potency back to 900 as God intended. And then finally, character motion and visuals effects have been changed for Tendo Kaishi Setsugeka, which makes sense, because originally, Tendo Setsugeka and Tendo Kaishi Setsugeka used to have longer cast times. Like, instead of 2.5 seconds, it was 3.2 seconds. And the animations were made to match that. But they eventually brought it back down to normal because nobody liked that. And they mentioned that they were going to change the visual effects to make it match the cast time, and there we go. There it is. Now, Reaper. Reaper, what did Reaper get? Let's see. I actually haven't paid attention to this one. Let's see. Circle of Sacrifice effect now also grants stacks of Mortal Sacrifice when you and your primary successfully land an ability. Oh my goodness. So this makes getting your stacks for a powerful Plentiful Harvest significantly easier, because the way it worked was you pressed Arcane Circle, everyone got a buff where when they pressed a weapon skill or a spell, they would give the Reaper a buff, or give her a stack of a buff, which made Plentiful Harvest hit harder. Now this just makes it a lot more consistent, because it also works with off-globals. So that's interesting. Just makes Immortal Sacrifice a lot more consistent. Then I see Void Reaping, Cross Reaping, and Grim Reaping. After loading the action Communio, the hotbar icon will no longer be illuminated when remaining Lemure Shroud stacks are at 1. This basically means that the game is not falsely telling you, hey, you could press this button again. It's instead saying, hey, fuck these buttons, hit Communio, because Communio hits so much harder. Which is a very small thing. It is definitely a bit more clarification for the player, which is nice, especially if you're learning the job. It helps, because a lot of people have their eyeballs glued to their hotbar, so that's nice. And then finally, Executioner's Gallows, better hit detection. I did notice that for some reason, Executioner's Gibbet had pretty good hit detection, but Gallows was like super delayed for some reason, so that's nice. Machinist. Wow, they got a whole lot of fuck all. Actually, no, hang on. So, first I see Flamethrower. Lamau. That skill still sucks. AoE still bad. Heated Clean Shot. That's their combo finisher, right? Yeah, that's their combo finisher. That has has more damage. Okay. Blazing Shot is the big one, though. So, for those of you who don't know how Machinist works, so Machinist has 2 gauges. One of them is their heat gauge, and their heat gauge allows them to spam Blazing Shot, which has a 1.5 second recast. It is a very fast GCD and also reduces the cooldown of Double Check and Checkmate, which is their off-globals, which those also got potency increases, by the way. This just means that their hypercharge windows have more damage, which is really good. Because if you look at a Machinist's logs on the Forbidden site FF logs, you'll notice that one of the biggest damage contributors is Blazing Shot. So buffing the potency of that is huge for its damage. This also happened in Endwalker, where they buffed Heat Blast. Heat Blast is a big portion of their damage, and this is like about a 9% buff to its potency, so that will be extra damage over time, on top of Double Check and Checkmate getting some extra potency. So while this isn't like gigantic for Machinist, this is still a good step in the right direction. They still need a bit more. They do still need more, but this is a good start. I say this is a good start, like they're ever going to reach the finish line with these, I swear to God. But yeah, this is definitely good for Machinist players. Dancer. Let's see. Dancer, Fan Dance. Oh, so once you reach level 94, Fan Dance gets more potency. Okay, that does help. Yeah, that is pretty good, actually, because they get feathers all the time, so yeah, that's pretty good, actually. Curing Waltz has a bigger radius. Ooh, that's really nice. Fan Dance 3 also gets potency increase at level 94, that's nice. And then Oh, so when you press Devilment, you can then turn it into Starfall Dance. Okay, that's nice. I'm not gonna use it because I'm used to the button actually being on my hotbar, but yeah, this isn't gonna change much. Like, more damage for Dancer, that's nice. I also noticed Bard got nothing, which I guess makes sense because Bard is insane. But yeah. Black Mage. Okay, so we knew two of these were coming already. We knew that Despair was going to be instant cast. Wait. The trait Enhanced Astral Fire. Wait, what? Hang on, I gotta check something. Is that a trait that they have? Black Mage. I need to check. Traits. Oh, you're joking. Okay, so they get instant cast Despair, but only at level 100. Because at level 100, they gain Enhanced Astral Fire, which is what gives them their, like, Flare Star gauge. Now it also gives you immediate casting of Despair, which is very weird. Like, we knew that instant cast Despair was going to fix a lot of issues. Like, yeah, we already knew that. But I find it weird that it's only usable at 100. I guess it makes sense that it's only usable at 100, but, like, I don't know. Also, 2 charges of ley lines, I see the cast time, like the cooldown, is not different at all, right? Yeah, no, it's still 120 seconds, but you still get 2 charges, and you also get, it's still 30 seconds long. So that's a lot of speed. Also, Flare had its cast time reduced, thank God. Like, I like Black Mage in dungeons because the AoE it has is very satisfying. Because when you go into Fire Phase, then you do triple cast, Flare, Star, it is so satisfying. I love it. But when you actually have to cast Flare, it's just really annoying. So, having a shorter cast time really does help AoE a bit. And then, what I find interesting is that they actually nerfed Enochian, which is a first. Like, normally they don't nerf Enochian. Like, the meme is that it kept getting buffed, because in Endwalker, they kept buffing Enochian over and over again, and then they did it again in Dawntrail, but now they nerfed it by 1%. And again, I think that's probably just to accommodate for the ley lines change, which I guess. But yeah, I don't know how Black Mages are gonna feel about it, especially, like, I don't know. I did see one video the other day, I forget where it was, but they were talking about how this would fix a lot of issues. So, yeah, I need to play Black Mage more, apparently. Summoner. Interesting. So, Crimson Cyclone grants Crimson Strike. Okay, so, when you summon Ifrit, you get to use Crimson Cyclone and Crimson Strike, which was normally a combo. You do Crimson Cyclone, which was a gap closer, and then Crimson Strike. If you did anything else after Cyclone, then you would lose the access to Crimson Strike, but now that's no longer the case. It's instead a buff, so you can use Crimson Strike whenever you want, which is pretty nice. It does allow for a bit more freedom when using Ifrit, which is very nice. And then, if you didn't know, apparently there was a bug with Summoner, where the potency of Summon Ifrit 2, Summon Titan 2, and Summon Garuda 2 was not correct. It was listed as 800, but it wasn't actually 800 in practice. It was instead 750, which was its Endwalker potency. So they buffed it, and by buffed it, I mean made it actually do what it was supposed to do, which is a little fucked. But hey, that's nice. And then finally Sunflare, which is effectively a Solar Bahamut's equivalent to Death Flare, got 100 extra potency. That's nice, I guess. I still don't care. I still don't care about Summoner. I still don't care. Moving on. Red Mage. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. So, Red Mage just got buffs to their finisher skills. Verflare and Verholy are now 650 potency. Scorch is now 750, and Resolution is now 850, which is interesting. I mean, if there are skills that you should buff, it's definitely these four, because they are a pretty big part of your damage. Resolution especially is a big part of Red Mage's damage, so buffing stuff that contributes a bunch to your damage already gets a bunch of points. I feel like they should also give some slight potency buffs to Ver Arrow 3 and Ver Thunder 3. They could also use a little bit of love, I guess. Like, the sheer existence of Pictomancer already makes Summoner and Red Mage obsolete, just about. It's disgusting. And speaking of Pictomancer, just what I fucking expected, no nerfs! No nerfs! Instead, I mean, this is quality of life. I guess that's fine. Because normally what you'd have to do when you respawn in an instance because you died or wiped or like entered the instance is you had to actually paint your motifs, but now you don't have to do that anymore, which I guess is okay. But like the Pictomancer needs nerfs. I'm gonna be the person to say it. Pictomancer needs nerfs. I don't give a shit. This job is just so over-centralizing in its current state, it needs nerfs. Like, I don't give a shit, it needs nerfs. It needs to be brought down. I don't care what Yoshi P says, this job needs to be brought down, because this job should not be allowed to do comparable damage to Black Mage, while having the equivalent of Divine Veil, while also having a raid buff. I'm sorry, this should not be a thing. It needs to be brought down. Like, sure, buffing Summoner and Red Mage is nice. Like, I think Summoner and Red Mages will be content-ish with these changes, even though Summoner's thing, this should have been a thing from the beginning. But, yeah, Pictomancer needs to be brought down. I'm sorry. It just has to. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. Instead, we got buffs to other jobs, which, I mean, they're not bad. I don't think these buffs are bad. I still think Pictomancer is the winner, and the only winner here. Even though it didn't really get anything. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. Anyway, moving on to the last section, healers. I have no expertise in healers at all because I refuse to play healer. I just refuse. So, let's see. Oh, Asuna is instant cast. Oh, that is fucking funny. So, Asuna being instant cast is very funny because it makes you wonder what they're doing. Because the only time you really need to use Asuna for anything is T, because of throttles in Living Liquid. So you have to like get 3 Asunas off very quickly, or else someone's going to die and you're going to have problems. It makes me wonder if Asuna is going to be used in Futures Rewritten. That's something that, I don't know if people are speculating this, but I'm going to speculate it, that if they're making Asuna instant cast now, it might be because of something they've done in Futures Rewritten, which horrifies me. Or it could be something in, say, maybe Juno, or Queen Eternal Extreme, or something like that. I don't know. It could be something like that. Let's move on to healer-specific stuff. Let's see. White Mage. So, White Mage, Holy, and Holy 3 have their cast times reduced. Honestly, fair. I didn't like that super long cast time for those skills, so them getting reduced is pretty nice. Asylum, visual effects indicating the area of effect have been adjusted. Interesting. We'll have to see what that looks like. I see Glare 3 got buffed by 10 potency, and then as a result, Afflatus Misery got buffed again, because, well, it needs to be damage neutral. Makes sense. I guess. I don't know. And then Divine Caress has bigger range. That's good. That's good. Scholar, Embrace, and Seraphic Veil have higher cure potencies. and then MP costs being brought down. I mean, things being less expensive is always nice on your MP economy. That's always good. Like, I don't know how it's good. I don't know how it affects things specifically, but that's just good. That's all I got. Astrologian, Gravity, and Gravity 2 have larger area of effects. I mean, that's nice. That is nice. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it either. And then finally, Sage. Sage gets Prognosis, Eucrasian Diagnosis, Eucrasian Prognosis. See a lot of MP decreases. Then I see Dosis 3, Toxicon 2, and Pneuma got potency increases. And then in Philosophy, it got a bigger area of effect radius. I mean, makes sense. Makes sense. Not really much else you need there. But yeah. And that's all the job changes, actually. I didn't have much to say about the healers because I really don't give a shit about healers at all. But yeah, overall, if I were to look at these changes and give you a winner, Gunbreaker. Gunbreaker wins. Like, out of all these jobs, Gunbreaker just one cartridge double down. Fucking finally. Gunbreaker won't feel like shit to play. Finally. I've been wanting this for so long. I'm so happy about the Gunbreaker changes. I'm also happy about the Paladin change, the Hollow's Ground. Dark Knight's also a bit of a winner. Not necessarily at max level because, well, the potency increases basically didn't fucking mean anything. But having that heal on Carbon Spit's nice. And also Dark Missionary being usable in UCOB and Uwu is phenomenal. Now, Dark Knights won't feel like they're throwing the game by playing their favorite job in those fights. Very cool. And yeah, outside of that, there really isn't too much I can think of that are like super crazy. There may be some that might be going over my head. Like, Ninja Dokumori is going to be crazy. Machinist is definitely going to get a bit of a damage buff because of the Blazing Shot change. Black Mage might feel a little bit better to play for people, but I don't think people are still too happy about it because the Flare Star stuff is still there. Red Mage, potency buffs look cool. Summoner is effectively just a bug fix and quality of life. Yeah, I'm not thinking of any jobs that are too crazy changed from these changes other than Gunbreaker. Gunbreaker is, oh my god, I want to go in and play Gunbreaker right now, but as of this recording, the game is down for maintenance. Fuck me. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thank you for watching. What do you think about these job changes? Do you like these changes? Was your job affected in a way that you liked? Did you dislike some of these changes? And what would you have done? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear what you think. And also, another reminder, I am streaming on Twitch now. I don't have a consistent schedule yet because I'm waiting for stuff IRL to come out, but I will be streaming the new 7.1 content at around, I don't know, let's say like 4 p.m. Pacific on the 12th, just to see some of the new stuff. Like, I'm gonna do the story, the Alliance raid, the EX trial. I'm gonna be messing with some job changes, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun. So if you want to show up and say hi, that'll be when I'm live. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I may work on some other stuff. I really should, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.